So I'm gonna make the second video in that recent police shooting of that teenage girl, and plus the tweet about of LeBron James in regards of his tweet of this hashtag accountability thing. Well, yes, he has his right, and I know he did the right thing to really tweet that out in regards of police accountability, and due to the being proven guilty of that officer that put the knee on the neck of that unarmed black civilian, really shows that there's really a turning point here, that there's really a consequence for white cops who do these kind of aggressive actions against unarmed civilians. And so there are this uh, rubbish comments, mostly coming from people on the right, going on. That's like, oh, LeBron is encouraging people to hate the police. Oh, uh, and then that recent tweet, those comments from those two senators that said, oh, it's the left's action to abolish the police. Oh, it's the LeBron makes this tweet of like hatred for the police or being in bed with communist China, but for all this rubbish nonsense. And plus all these things like, oh, they're gonna boycott the NBA if LeBron doesn't apologize to the police. Oh, this oh, we the police are gonna challenge LeBron. All this nonsense. And so it comes to the conclusion that like, and there are these vicious comments that are like, oh, the parents should have taught the kids not to do this, not to do that. Oh, this police officer was just doing it in self-defense. Or the police officer's fault, blah 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 blah. All this rubbish comments. But like, what if I were to tell that, like, I think it is really a point that it's a good thing that the current Justice Department is currently investigating the policing in several cities of where the shootings have been happening or the killings have been happening, and plus, you know, the uh, and plus, it. I think it's really an open to really have really appropriate change of policing, and plus reforming the police, and really building a proper training for police officers and how to use tasers or guns. And so I what if I were to say that, like, what has been there in the system goes back, to the 1980s. But like, anyways, I really have to agree that I think communities of color, especially in these particular communities of disenfranchised, really have to uplift each other. And so, what if I were to tell you that, like, uh, I'm a 1990s born millennial, but I was not there in the 1980s when all this rampant of crimes rose up, and the over policing of poor communities. What if I were to say that, like, the result of the Iran Contra affair that led to the result that the the shipping of drugs into the U.S. from Central America led to the and this led to the uh, well, I will say at that time, because Reagan was the president, so I will mention his name, and he and his other cronies and henchmen had like this plan to this to keep the poor communities disenfranchised. So just bring these drugs into these communities, start a gang war and on each other, make crime go rampantly high, and over police these communities. And this led, and I was already born at that time when the 1990s anti-crime bill happened, that was signed by both Democrats and Republicans. And it was at that time, and it was a time that drugs was flowing over all over the streets. And that's why then Senator Biden vote to co-signed that law. and that was the controversies during when he was running the primaries, and the left people on the left criticized him for that, and during the general elections, people on the right and opposition criticized him for it. But things have changed now, and I think he's still, and as president, I think he's doing better. And to conclude this, it's like telling LeBron to shut up and dribble. Oh, just stick to sports, or just stick to what you're good at. Or blah blah blah. All this rubbish nonsense. It's like saying, oh, this athlete should just stick to sports. All that, and then you're an athlete, not a politician. You should not speak on this. Oh, all those nonsense. And athletes had used their platforms to speak out on social and racial issues. Look at the two black track and field athletes in the Olympics in 1968, when they rose up their fists during the when the Star Spangled Banner was played during the National Anthem ceremony, or the boxer Muhammad Ali, who used his platform to speak out against going into the military or going to fight in the Vietnam War. Or what about, like, Colin Kaepernick, who used this platform, who he took an advice from a veteran of a foreign war to protest peacefully, and he was taught to kneel. Or what of the NBA and other basketball leagues using their platform to speak out on social and racial issues. And athletes have used their platforms to uplift their communities, speak out on oppression, and the list goes on. So athletes, TV stars, movie stars will use their platform to do all these right to do these rightful things. So I'll end it here.